The People Playbook is for professional business owners and leaders who understand business rises and falls on people. You will hear practical, real-world conversations on clear leadership, smart hiring, and building strong teams. All formulas for retention. Get ready to hear your professional peers and industry experts as they discuss lessons learned and best practices. Get that journal out. You'll be taking lots of notes.
Welcome to the People Playbook, a show for and with business owners and leaders, where we take on the challenges we are all facing and sharing out lessons learned. Today, we're not just recording a conversation. We are capturing a message that helps leaders think differently about people, purpose, and the way work gets done. More than that, today's guest is extra special to me. He is not only a pastor, entrepreneur, and inventor. Most importantly, he's my brother. So this conversation brings together business, faith, family, leadership, and values in a very personal way. We're going to talk today about why organizations need good people and why leadership sets the tone and how our personal values, even our spirituality, can shape the way we show up in business. Welcome, my dear brother. How are you, Dean?
Good. It's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Oh my gosh, I'm just honored. This is going to be a great call. And Dean, for our audience, it's interesting. You went and got your MBA from the UW, University of Washington, while working at a high-tech company, correct?
Yes, Intel Corporation. And you wanted to continue to excel as a leader there. They supported that. You then went on and got your master's in theology. That's correct. Northwest Nazarene in Nampa, Idaho.
Nice. So what an interesting mix. And in addition to that, you have military experience. You have worked like Intel and NEC, the high-tech industry. You know how business runs. You've launched 2 separate businesses of your own, Follow Me Trades and Papaya Head. And you've also invented a product that you brought to market, the Black Diamond Sanding Blocks. And in addition to all of that business work, you also lead as a pastor a church, the Real Life Communities Church.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? Do you find that as interesting as other people might?
It's just what I do. Other people go, wow, that's a lot. I don't know. It's all fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. And I remember when you went to go to school, that was on the heels of here you were doing really well in the corporate world, drawn into your church and became a leader. You were leading certain groups and engaged in helping others learn about leadership in the church. And then you were like, man, I dig this. And you went and got an education in it.
No, and it became more fulfilling than, my career in high tech. That the career had been great. I did it for 21 years. Mm-hmm. But then as I got more involved in ministry, it's like, man, this is just really feeding me. And I want to, go emphasize this more.
Yeah.
And I want to be equipped to do it well.
Yeah. And I would love if you would share with our audience a story you have shared with me in the past about being in ministry school and interacting with other pastors who had that fulfilling past and history. And you came into this with your business experience. Tell me the story of how some of those discussions went.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So, I went through the master's program in a cohort, and some of the members, we're talking constantly and engaging and working on the coursework and the assignments, and through the discussion, started hey, we could do this in the church the way I learned how we do it in the corporate world, in terms of strategy and planning and being organized, and got real pushback from some individuals. Like, hey, you can't run church like a business. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Right. And as I pushed in and we pressed in on the conversation, it's like I came away going, a couple of these kind of career pastors, good folks, committed, passionate, but their perception was that, business lacked integrity. It wasn't clean. It was, kind of a grubby thing. And, if you think about, sometimes you'll hear, people say, there's a transaction and, it's like, well, didn't go the way I want. People go, hey, sorry, right? That's just business, nothing personal. And I think that's kind of the perception they have that, business equals profit maximizing at all costs, right? And, my tongue-in-cheek response to them was, hey, if that's your view of business, is that it's, kind of an unholy thing, then maybe you should go refund all the tithes and offerings that came in from businesses that you have a low opinion of. So I think that, the discussion became helpful. I hope I added some perspective to them that, there certainly are some businesses that operate without integrity, but that doesn't define business. And to be honest, not all churches operate
with integrity
to the standards outlined in the Bible. So, it's more about people and their framework and their values than it is, the construct of the organization.
I think two things that I want to really pull out of that I think are really interesting. And number one, when you said, we pushed into that conversation a little bit. And I think that's crucial because then we can both have an understanding and we can overcome some of these perceptions that are created, because not all perceptions they may be our reality, doesn't make them accurate. And it's being willing to stay into a conversation and really hear other people. I think that's crucial in today's world and for leaders. And then the other thing that you pull out of that is I think a lot of business leaders today are facing that perception. Corporate America is evil, right?
Right.
And
there's a cultural narrative, right? Picket, big pharma, oil, whatever, right? It's just evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you show them, vote with your wallet.
Well, and that somehow creating thousands of jobs and creating solutions and making people's lives better is evil, is, to your point, it's a narrative. But there's a lot of leaders showing up saying, but I don't want to be evil. I want to have a good company. And one of the things you said is, well, if you don't like business, well, what about those tithings? That there is a direct connection between the spiritual community and business community. They do work hand in hand. They're not at odds.
They don't have to be.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I thought of this, I hope this fits as we were discussing, hey, the evil corporation, because some part of the cultural narrative that you'll hear too is that, well, these companies, they just exploit people, right?
Yeah.
The workers, the employees. But if you think about that, an employer-employee relationship, isn't it mutually exploitive?
Or
right?
mutually beneficial, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, right. But it's like, hey, this company has, the capital, the resources, the facility, the equipment, the brand, where I can bring
my skills,
what I have and my skills and time and talent, and it can be multiplied.
Right.
And I want to exploit or benefit from that. I want to be compensated. And the company says, hey, we got the capital, the brand, the equipment, the facility. We need the talent to come in and to bring the value out of it. So that's a mutually entered arrangement.
Absolutely.
And in healthy relationships, there's balance and it's mutually agreed. And when it doesn't work out, you say thank you and move on. Now there are bad employers, there's bad employees, but again, the model isn't evil by itself.
Right. And if I, for example, really want to provide a quality life for my family and I want to engage in my community, having a company that I can share my talents with, provides me a lot of stability and a lot of things I need to give to my community and to support and care for my family and to be a good friend, to be a good family member, right? I'm going to share with you my talent. You're going to provide what I need to go provide what I need to others. There's a lot of continuity in a community, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And, in addition to, the compensation and the benefits, some careers, provide, enrichment, fulfillment, right? I've developed a skill set. I'm continuing it. We're accomplishing really, really, really important stuff, right? And so that adds to the satisfaction in addition to, a stable home and community situation. So that's pretty
absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be inventing AI or doing brain surgery. I remember watching Mike Rowe during his Dirty Job show. We got to watch him learn and discover that, he made the point. He goes, man, some of the happiest, most satisfied people I do some of the bad,
worst jobs,
dirty jobs.
Absolutely.
People, these guys are out running around emptying porta potties, right? Which is a pretty nasty job.
Right.
But they're happy and they're like, hey, this is important and we do it well and we got some pride and the company treats us well and the customers appreciate it. And these are happy guys.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
What do we learn from that?
Interesting?
That's something important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Coach Cora on the People Playbook on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. And you are listening to the conversation between me and my brother Dean, who is both a businessman and a pastor. We will be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hiring is one of the most important decisions a business makes, and the resume only tells part of the story. Coach Cora helps organizations bring data insight to the hiring process through assessments that look at communication style, work preferences, and personal motivators. But we don't just hand you a report and wish you luck. Each assessment includes a consulting meeting to help you understand what the data means and how to use it in the interview. Because when you understand how a person communicates, what drives them, and how they prefer to work, you can ask better questions, make stronger decisions, and build better teams. Go to CoachCora.com for details.
We're back with Dean Jenkins, my brother, and we're talking about the connection between spirituality, values, and business. Dean, one of the things that I know you and I have had many conversations about in the past is oftentimes people go into business and the purpose is often related to the profits and the bottom line. But when you really dig in, why are we opening these doors? Why do we exist? And what matters the most is profit is important because it's driving a bigger purpose. It's not just for the profit. There's often something bigger. We hear small business owners open their business. They don't just say, because I need the money. It's, I need to support my family. Or I want to be able to sell my skills and market my skills in a way that allows me a flexible lifestyle to go enjoy this or to be with my family or fill in the blank. That often there's a much bigger purpose. And that even large organizations say, when I am successful, I'm going to take that success and give it to. And then they have contributions. There's ways that they contribute and give back. So what are your thoughts on that connection between purpose and our values?
So one of my favorite sayings, because, I've engaged in entrepreneurial enterprises. You have too. So one of my favorite sayings is the definition of an entrepreneur who is someone who is happy to work 80 hours a week to get out of work in 40.
It's so true.
Right?
Yes.
And so that's, the people I've encountered who start business, it's not because they don't want to work, right?
Right.
It's because they, I just really want to open a restaurant or, I don't want to be in a cubicle. I want to be out on a construction site or landscaping or roofing or
right,
designing bridges, whatever it is that they're good at, they're called to, they're excited about, right? Again, that you can wake up in the morning and be excited about your 80-hour week. And you can dread your 40.
You're only working 80 hours?
Yeah. But I love that definition, right?
Yeah.
Happy to work 80 to get out of 40. Right?
And
it kind of says it all.
Yeah. And so often we're all given gifts. My gifts are different from your gifts for sure. You have some very specific gifts and you love to use those. I have gifts. I love to give those and use those and share those. And finding a place where we can give and share those gifts and be utilized in a way that's meaningful is very fulfilling to the human experience and frustrating when we can't. There was a Uber ride I took one time. I was in Atlanta and I needed to take the Uber to the grocery store. And I'm visiting with him. I'm always curious, like, what are you doing? Who are you? You know me. And he had said, I would love to have a job that provided stability for me, that I could go work hard, get promoted and have a career at. I would love that. But it's been my experience that when I show up in some companies, because I'm still learning and I'm new, and there's not a very good attitude among others, that I get yelled at, screamed at, pushed aside, and asked to do things I don't know how to do. And then I get in trouble for that. And it's frustrating. So I would rather come out here, drive an Uber for double the hours for half the money than to go in and be humiliated and demeaned. And I just thought that was the most powerful story, right? And I do think that when leaders of businesses bring their values into the business, it's a very different experience for the employee.
If they're positive values.
Ooh, good call out. Nice.
Yeah, right. Because, we say values, but not all of them are noble.
True.
Right. Or what we would universally call good, positive, healthy value. I mean, there are some businesses and some business leaders who's, hey, yeah, I am going to maximize profit at all costs.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll leave some bodies in our wake.
Right. That's right.
So I guess you would call those values. They're not very valuable.
Right. And so,
right.
It's interesting. You've talked before about if I have values and I hold those dear and I go to church on Sunday or whatever my expression and practice and adherence to my values is. But where I go to work Monday through Friday or whatever my schedule is doesn't jive with those. What does that tell you, Dean?
Well, it's going to, it's either going to create conflict.
Absolutely.
Or it's revealing, a performative kind of superficial system, value system.
Yeah.
As a pastor, one of the things we preach and try to emphasize is that, the time spent in church should impact every other part of your life, your way you interact with your family and with your community and with your employer and customers. Mm-hmm. And kind of our tagline is if the hour you spend in church on Sunday doesn't permeate out into the rest of your life, then it was a waste of time, right?
Right.
We didn't come to church to be holy. Holy means, set aside and, positive, right? You didn't come to church to be holy. You came to church to become holy for the world, right? Not for that moment.
I'm going to virtue signal that. Look at me.
Right, here I am. Right? and then I'm going to show up Monday and operate without integrity. Well, that's just business, right?
Right.
No. It's funny. I think we talked before about the potential for collision between individuals' values and an organization's value. And what can you do about that?
Right.
You know, I'll pick on the, one of the quick lube franchises, right? I won't name them, but
I don't want to name them, but I'm going to.
But, the original idea was, this is awesome, right? Rather than scheduling this appointment, this big hassle, it's like, I can pop in 10 minutes, get my oil changed, and pop out. This is awesome, right?
Right.
And then it
evolved.
At first it was great, and then it's like, you know what? I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get completely hassled and upsold. I don't know much about cars. It's like it's going to create this stress. It's like, am I being hustled, or is there a real problem that I need? And it's just the whole thing's unpleasant now. And if you're an employee at a place like that, and that's a conflict. It's like, hey, I just want to be straight with people, and I just want to provide good value, but you're being measured on your ability to upsell maybe on things people don't need. That's going to be miserable, right? You're either going to do it their way and be really unhappy, or you're going to do it your way and they're going to be really unhappy.
Right.
So at some point you have to go, this is not a good match, and it seems irreconcilable.
Right.
So maybe I need to do something different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We see that.
I love
we see that all the time in organizations, and it's not always intended. Sometimes it just becomes a result. If we push people into, say, customer service, and I'm answering all the calls, people that need help, people that are upset, customer service, the best customer service people are the ones that love to help people. But if the policy is you have no authority to help, you just have to listen, you really burn those people out. They want to help.
Right.
But you're really burning them out.
Right.
And so some of it, the answer is, well, we'll just go to AI because AI could take a beating, right? Versus there's so much research that says if I give some authority, I'm not saying give the company away, but you have authority to solve problems, and we're going to train you so you have competency to do it. Then these employees, they're fulfilled. They get to helping people all the time, and people walk away happy. It's a whole different experience on both sides of that transaction.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much, right? Something small. Just feel like, someone's, I was heard, someone's trying to help, right?
Yeah.
Even, that's better than, just this, live with it.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, I'm so sorry you're frustrated. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's really frustrating. This is Coach Cora. We're on the People Playbook on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, and we're talking with Dean, a pastor and a professional businessman, about the values and how we want to bring them into our workplace, not cause them to be exclusive. It's really interesting from a intentional perspective and a policy perspective. And to your point, I may have the best of intentions as a top-level leader. I really want my people to be successful, to excel. We're going to put all kinds of support in, but they don't always know what the conflict is between policy execution and intention. So we also feel that with our own values. I may say, right, Dean, I'm sure you hear this all the time, I value family, number one. But where's most of our time spent? Is it with family or with others? So what are your thoughts on some of that? There's leaders out there listening that own a business and they're very committed to their values. What do we do? What are some messages you would have for them about reconciling intention with execution?
Well, I think it's important to be clear, right? I haven't seen it be actually clear universally. What are our values? Right? And what is our framework? And what are the priorities? When I worked at Intel, they actually had, you have an employee badge, right? But on the back of the badge, here's our 6 values.
Yeah.
And not only was it printed on the back of your badge, but it was discussed in every situation and reinforced and lived out visibly. Yeah. So, to articulate, hey, what are our values? And then to constantly, you can't just put it on a poster on the conference room wall, but to consciously, make that a part of your planning and your operational model is we point back to what we said was important and measure our actions and decisions against what we said was important.
That's right. Thank you.
Make it real.
Make it real. Thank you. And that's super important. It has to be a part of our decision-making, our planning, and everything. Well, thank you,
Right.
Dean. It has meant a lot to me that you have joined me. I hope you'll come back and join again, and we'll have another fabulous conversation. This is Coach Cora, and you've been listening to the People Playbook with Cora and her brother, Dean. Please go to CoachCora.com for specials that will help you find that candidate that is a great match and in alignment with the role you're looking to fill. Tune in next Saturday for another stimulating conversation.
Thank you for listening to the People Playbook. For more information, Coach Cora can be found on LinkedIn and at CoachCora.com. Let's meet here next Saturday, 2 p.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.